Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Always Bayern Chelsea show. This right here is a special video edition episode. It's going to be part of kind of a season wrap up for the 2024-2025 season for Bayern Munich here. Of course, we still have the Club World Cup, which Jim and I are going to, if you didn't already know. So we're going to be heading to Cincinnati for that opening match for Bayern Munich against Auckland City. We'll provide you all the coverage you need for the entire Club World Cup, but this video right here is going to be looking at the 2024-2025 season in terms of Bundesliga, Champions League, and DFB Pokal. So I mentioned this is a video episode. Please subscribe to the Always Bayern Chelsea YouTube channel to stay up to date, to join this community, growing community of football fans. But this video is going to be a little bit different. I hope it all works out with the tech and everything that I'm trying here. But I'm going to be doing a tier ranking for Bayern Munich, every player for the Bayern Munich squad this season. I will have some more kind of holistic coverage coming to wrap up the season. I'm trying to do some cool collaborations with some guests. So yeah, we're gonna talk more about the season as a whole, of course. But this video in particular, like I said, is focused on doing a tier ranking of all of the members of this squad. So I have never done anything like this. So I hope you enjoy. It's gonna be something different. All right, so we got the setup going here. I'm thinking it's looking all right. It looks like it does from my end. So why don't we go ahead and get started? If you can see here, we got the tiers for the entire Bayern Munich squad, all the players under here. The tiers are MVP, and I've decided I'm only going to allocate one player to the MVP slot. I mean, most valuable player. That's kind of what you should do, I think, if you're going based off of the actual definition of it. Although, to be quite honest with you, there's three players that I think you could make a strong argument for to fit the MVP slot. So I'll pick one. Don't worry, I'll only pick one. But yeah, just to let you know, and we'll come back to that one and talk more about it. Top, I mean, that tier kind of, these all speak for themselves, but top obviously is really good to me, is really a great season from this player or these players. Good is just solid. You had a good, solid season. Mid is uh maybe some ups, some downs, and flop is, for whatever reason, maybe you didn't get playing time, maybe you were a highly touted transfer, and just whatever injuries, anything, any number of circumstances could lead to you being a flop here. And obviously, these are all professional football players. I'm not trying to degrade anyone or anything, but I'm just going to try to rate people strictly off of this season here, 2024, 2025. So let's jump into it. I feel like I've talked a lot. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of this episode, probably what you came for. So I'm going to start with keepers. I think I'm going to start with keepers in this section, maybe work our way up to defense, midfielders, attackers, to try to, I don't know, separate it in some sort of a way that makes sense. So let's go with flop. First, I guess I gave it away a little bit maybe, but let's go with Sven Ulreich here for keepers. I think I'm gonna put him at flop. I mean, that sounds kind of unfair, but Sven just has been dealing with a lot this season, personal issues, injuries. So he really didn't play much. When he did play, I think only like one or two matches. I'm thinking that Dinamo Zagreb match, and maybe like one or two Bundesliga matches. He was fine, but I'm just considering him a flop because he wasn't really with the team much and hardly played at all. Next, Daniel Peretz, I'm also putting in that flop category, which is maybe a little bit harsh, but Peretz really had a couple opportunities early in the year to step up when Neuer went down injured, and he really didn't take advantage of those opportunities. He wasn't horrible by any means, but he really just didn't step up like you kind of hoped he would have if you were a Bayern Munich fan. So those two keepers I'm putting in the flop category. Next, let's go to Jonas Erbig. I am going to put Erbig in the good category. Erbig obviously came over to Bayern Munich in the middle of the season, and yeah, he was good. In that winter transfer window, came over and he was good. He got a lot more playing time than I think anybody would have expected him to. He really stepped up and filled Neuer's shoes as best he could when Neuer did go down with that calf injury in the Champions League. I mean, for such a young kid coming over from Köln, that's fight to Bundesliga, actually champions. Urbig getting the Bundesliga champion and the Zweite Bundesliga champion in one season, which has only been done, I think, maybe two or three other times in the history of the German Bundesliga. So, congrats to Urbig there. And again, like he just stepped up when he was called upon for such a young kid to step up and play these massive, massive Champions League round of 16 quarterfinals and also just play well in the Bundesliga. You know, he wasn't perfect necessarily, Urbig. He certainly had some mistakes. And similar to Neuer, actually, Urbig plays kind of an aggressive style, which is very beneficial to Bayern Munich as a team. But it just means when he makes mistakes, they oftentimes will lead to goals, similar really to the rest of the defense for Bayern Munich. But yeah, overall, super pleased with Urbig. And I'm gonna move on to Neuer now, and I'm also gonna put Neuer in the good category. Similar for Neuer, like he was solid. Obviously, he was injured a lot, as we talked about. But Neuer, I think, had a good, solid season. Obviously, he's not the Manuel Neuer of old, where you could put him in that MVP category or just top world-class performances like every week. Neuer had a few mistakes. The biggest one being that red card in the DFB Pokal, which really led to Bayern Munich getting bounced from that competition, the German Cup. But Neuer overall had a good season, I think. And you know, while he is clearly getting older, Neuer is still better than your average keeper, in my opinion. I mean, he even showed up with a few like vintage Neuer performances in there, so I'm happy with rating Neuer in the good category. Next up, I want to go to defenders, and I'm going to start here with Rafa Guerrero. I'm putting Guerrero in the mid category. It certainly wasn't a bad year from Guerrero at all. He was solid in really the clearest definition of the word. Rafa Guerrero was solid. I think he has become a bit of a defensive liability when he has to play left back, but he really was just that Swiss Army knife kind of jack of all trades player and was able to play, you know, midfield, the 10, left back. He played left wing under Tuchel. I don't think Company ever used him as a wing this year, but yeah, overall Guerrero was just solid, and he's just kind of a nice depth squad guy, but overall mid. He wasn't, you know, a massive factor in this team's success, and like I said, he did come with some defensive mistakes. I'm also going to put Hiroki Ito in the mid category, and just quite frankly, Ito was injured for most of the season, so you really didn't get a good look at the guy. And the couple matches that he did play, I think he was solid. But just the fact that he, yeah, broke his foot multiple times, it really led to him not playing much at all. So I feel like I kind of have to put him in the mid category, even though I think he did do fine when he played. You know, Ito being able to slot in at that left back, played for an injured Davies at times. And also, Ito could play some center back, but we didn't really see him at center back at all this season. Who else we got here? I think I'm going to go Alphonso Davies. That's the next one I see. And I'm putting Davies at top. It was a top year for Davies until he tore his ACL, unfortunately, which was brutal, which was so brutal how the Canadian national team did not do a good job of taking care of him. Obviously, there's a lot of things that go into an injury like that, but certainly Canada was not careful enough with him, if you ask me. And I mean, potentially he's one of those guys that Vincent Company probably should have rotated a little bit more as well throughout the year. But yeah, Davies really, really good, key player under Vincent Company, in this Vincent Company system, inverting, playing a huge role in the attack, but also this year. Really hustling to get back on defense and really playing solid defense at that left back position where last year I think he was good at contributing to the attack, but something was just off with him last year. I don't know if it was personal stuff going on. I don't know if it was how he fit in the Thomas Tuchel system, but he just wasn't at his best last year and really probably the most improved player. If I were to give that award, I think I would give that to Alphonso Davies this year because he was one of our most important players. And last year, it seemed like he pretty much wanted to leave the club. So, really, really, really good season from Alphonso Davies. Next, I think I'm going to move to Conrad Leimer here, and I'm putting Conrad Leimer in the good category as well. Conrad Leimer, a midfielder who this year had to play right back, which is not easy to do, to play out of position for a full year. But Conrad Leimer was really one of those, I don't know, like maybe most underrated kind of players. You could give Connie that award. Such a good right back in terms of linking up with Michael Olise and contributing to that attack and bombing up and down the pitch. He wasn't without his mistakes, that's for sure. Conrad Leimer, I think, did struggle with his positioning. At times, he was caught out of position, and that would lead to goals or just good opportunities for other teams. But again, the guy is a midfielder, so you can see how he would be out of position. Just really plays aggressively, really plays with that chip on his shoulder, with that little bit of extra character, that little bit of extra spirit that I think, quite frankly, Vincent Company loves and I love as a fan. I love to watch him, I love to cheer him on. So, really, really good season from Limer, especially when you consider the fact that he was playing out of position for an entire season and became a keystone, really like maybe not every week starter, but he became a guy who company relied on to start all those most important matches. Um, Moving on here, we got Josip Stanisic, and I'm also going to put Stanisic in the good category. Stanisic was injured for a little bit. I guess a little bit longer than I would have liked, definitely, because I think Stanisic could have potentially been in that starting right back role over Limer. But nonetheless, Stanisic, another guy who can really play anywhere along the back line. We saw him at center back at times this year. We saw him at left back at times this year and at right back. So, yeah, Josip Stanisic, I think, is a guy who I wouldn't say you build like off of him or you build maybe around him is a better way to phrase it, but he can be a guy who can kind of be a cornerstone guy in that defense and stick with your team long term. So, yeah, I was really happy with how Stanisic did this year. I think he's best at right back, pretty good at left back. And maybe a little bit weaker at center back. So we'll see this season what goes on with the center backs. Obviously, Bayern just signed Jonathan Tah, so you have him coming in. You have Eric Dyer leaving. And there's been reports that Stanisic might be used as a center back next year. So we'll see. Maybe he kind of trains up at that spot at the offseason, but really just a versatile guy, and I'm a big fan of Stanisic. Next up, we got Eric Dyer. I just mentioned him leaving for AS Monaco now, but Eric Dyer had a good season. The outcast from Tottenham Hotspur comes over to Bayern, not this last winter, I guess, but the winter before, under Thomas Tuchel, and just puts in solid performance after solid performance. He was an afterthought for Tuchel, he was an afterthought for company, but lo and behold, when guys went down with injuries, who did you have to call on in the Champions League, in the end of the Bundesliga, in these big, big matches? Who did you have to call on? It was Eric Dyer. And Eric Dyer stepped up to the plate and delivered solid, solid, solid performance after solid performance. So he's a veteran guy. He's not going to complain about playing time. He's not going to, I don't know, like be a cancer in the locker room or anything. He's just going to be a great teammate, a great communicator on that back line, and he's going to step up whenever he's called upon. And that's really what Dyer did this year. So just shout out to Eric Dyer. He was really good, I thought, this year when he was called upon. Let's see, who do we got next for defenders? Sasha Bouet. I'm putting Sasha Bouet in the flop category. Yeah, it was just a year kind of riddled with injuries, kind of riddled with, just performances when he did get the call that weren't very good, but he oftentimes wasn't getting the call. So unfortunately, Sasha Bouet, I think, was just a bust in his Bayern Munich career. There's rumors that they're looking to sell him now. We'll see what happens, but I don't really see consistent playing time for Sasha Bouet in the future at Bayern Munich, which is unfortunate because Christoph Freund went out in that winter transfer window 2 winters ago and paid 30 million for him. So a really, really expensive mistake, if you ask me. He's not a bad player by any means, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm calling the guy a bum or anything, but he just I don't think is quite up to that level at Bayern Munich. And, you can be a solid player, but to be like a starter, a guaranteed starter, somebody who's going to step up when it counts and yeah, just perform is really something else. So I don't think Sasha Bouet is going to be that at Bayern Munich. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Unfortunately for him, maybe, and this might be unfair, but my lasting image of him is the Champions League quarterfinals against Inter Milan. I don't think Bouet should have even been in the match at this point, but Thomas Muller comes on and levels that game. This is the first leg at the Allianz Arena I'm talking about. Levels that game at the death, but then at the death, right afterwards, Sasha Bouet makes a mistake and charges at his guy, blows right by him, and then Inter actually wins that game, and that's really what won the tie. So yeah, unfortunately, that's the image I have of Bouet in my mind, which isn't a great one. So yeah, that's what we got with Sasha Bouet. Kim, I'm gonna put in the mid category as well. And, I will always respect Kim Min-jae for how hard he fought this year through injury, through Achilles tendonitis all year long, being rolled out there every week, wanting to start every week. I'll always respect him for that. The guy's a fighter. The guy's got great character and a great spirit, but he just made too many mistakes this year, too many mental mistakes, positioning mistakes where I can't say he was really good or top. Mid might be a little bit too harsh of a word, but it was just kind of an year for Kim Min Jae in my eyes, and that might be because he was dealing with so many injuries. But like I said, a lot of these mistakes that led to goals were mental mistakes, and actually, I believe he had the most mistakes leading to goals in the Bundesliga this year. So that's never a stat that you want attached to your name. And I'm hoping that with some proper center back rotation this year, ideally with Kim, Ta, and Upamecano, Kim can hopefully rebound and start to show us that monster nickname that he had in Italy, the Korean monster. So I hope that he kind of bounces back next year. But Diet Upamecano, I'm also putting Upamecano in that top category with Alphonso Davies, our second guy in the top category so far. Man, what a year from Upamecano. I think he really benefited from working with Vincent Company. Again, a bummer that he got hurt down the stretch as well, but really good year from Diet Upamecano. Whereas last year and the year before, you saw him making mistakes in key moments too, just like Kim. But this year, Upamecano really stepped up and asserted himself as a leader on that back line. I think Upamecano is the guy that you build your defense around now. I guess along with Alphonso Davies, I think those two are really the cornerstone guys in your defense, and I feel comfortable building a defense around those two. So really good job, Upamecano. If Davies wasn't the most improved player this year, you could really put Upamecano in that category as well. All right, moving on to the midfield now. And I know Bayern has a lot of players who are like technically midfielders, but like attacking midfielders, for example. I'm gonna, I think, leave those guys out of this part and then just put them in the, I guess, attackers group. So why don't we start off here with Alexander Pavlovich? I'm gonna give Pavlovich a good ranking. Pavlovich, had a year again, kind of where he was just injured or ill a lot. But I should say he got off to a really good start. I mean, I feel like I say this every once in a while, so you might have heard me say it, but Vincent Company called Alexander Pavlovich the best player on this team. In the beginning of the year when he went down with that collarbone injury. So that just showed how good of a start Pavlovich had. Afterwards, he kind of had not quite a sophomore slump, but he was really just never the same player as he was in the beginning of the year when he was trying to come back from injury. I think he was rushed back. I think he came back too fast from that broken collarbone, wasn't able to be as physical as you would have liked in that midfield. But still showed some solid performances kind of down the stretch, but again, he just never made it back to how good he was at the beginning of the year. All in all, a good season from Pavlovich, but I'm sure he's probably a little bit disappointed with the injuries, with the illnesses, because he was really on the trajectory to be a top player, and he still very well can get there next year or whenever. But as of right now, I'm just gonna leave him in that good category. Um, Next, Leon Goretzka. This is a lightning rod of a figure. And this might be a controversial take to some people who, for whatever reason, whether it be off the field stuff or what, just hate the guy's guts and want him a million miles away from this club. But I'm giving him a good ranking. He's a depth guy, and you need guys like him to fill in when guys are hurt, when this, that, and the other thing is going on. You need guys like Goretzka to fill in. So he's not like a flashy player like Kane or Musiala or even someone as good and consistent as Kimmich, who is like, you look at those guys and you're like, they're the reason Bayern's a top team. Goretzka's not one of those guys, but he's a solid box to box midfielder, number eight, who can fill in and can, play good defense. He's strong. He can score goals sometimes when you need it. He's not going to be the guy you want to lean on against the Real Madrids of the world, but he's a solid, solid guy for the Bundesliga. And especially after this summer where he was basically told by all the Bayern bosses, leave, pack your bags. We don't want you anymore. You got to get out here. You got to get out of town this summer. Gretzka stuck around and fought for his spot and earned the trust of company and really earned a starting spot a lot of times when Pavlovich was down injured. So, yeah, I'm gonna give Gretzka a good ranking. Next up, João Palhinha. I'm putting Palhinha in the mid category. You could arguably say he's a flop based off of how touted of a figure he was in the transfer market. Thomas Tuchel promised him that he would come to Bayern Munich. That deal fell apart at the 11th hour. Polina was in Munich doing his medical, taking pictures with the jerseys and everything. But yeah, that deal fell apart. Apparently, Bayern promised they would sign him this year, and they did. But he just doesn't really fit in Vincent Kompany's system. Polina is that number six destroyer kind of midfielder. Um, yeah, he was unlucky this year with injuries as well. He was, I thought, solid when he played, but he was really nothing special. So, I'm not going to label him a straight up flop, but I am going to say he was mid. I'm going to say he wasn't great this year by any means, and he really just doesn't fit into Company's system, which is unfortunate because he seems like a really good guy. He seems like he really wants to fight for his spot, and maybe next year, by some stroke of luck, things will turn around for him. I don't really think I see it under Vincent Kompany, especially with the addition of Tom Bischoff, another midfielder, another young midfield star. So we're gonna see what has to happen here with Polina. Maybe he'll get sold this summer, maybe not. But yeah, he was unfortunately just mid this year. I think he kind of has a reputation as being a little bit more of an aggressive player. So I think, for example, there was that red card against Bochum. I think the refs kind of treated him unfairly at some points during the year, but yeah, overall just really wasn't good enough for what you paid. I mean, Bayern paid 50 million euros for the guy, and he sat on the bench most of the season, let's be honest. So, yeah, I'm gonna give Polina mid. I think similar to Kim, he kind of struggled to adjust to the pace of the Bundesliga in his first season here. Polina is a really physical guy in terms of his play style, and that works better in the Premier League than it does in the Bundesliga, which is such a fast league. And now on to Kimmich here. I actually forgot about him when I was doing the midfield. Whoops. Hopefully I'll edit this in the correct spot. But Joshua Kimmich, top. And Kimmich really is one of those three guys who I really considered putting at the MVP this year. So I think you could make a strong argument for Kimmich as MVP. If he's your MVP, more power to you. I would not argue that for a second. So yeah, I mean Kimmich just controlled the game. Almost every game he played in, he was the definition of consistent. He was the definition of really good. You could even say great. Really pulling the strings in that midfield, Joshua Kimmich. I don't even know what else to say about him. I feel like every match he was in my match awards. Just such a foundational glue guy in this team. Future captain of the team, captain of the German national team. And yeah, I mean, this team is going to rely quite heavily on Kimmich. He can control things, really the tempo, the pace of a match up and down that right side. So there you go. Kimmich is in the top category and arguably could be in the MVP category. But yeah, I think it's time now to move on to attacking players. We all have attacking players, attacking midfielders, whatever, forwards, wings. That's the remainder of the guys we got left here. All right, we're gonna start with Kingsley Coman. I'm rating Kingsley Coman as mid. Yes, Kingsley Coman is going in the mid category, which is kind of sad because he, is such an influential figure, I guess, at the club. He's a great leader. He's a key part of the club's history, of course, when scoring that Champions League winning goal. But really, I think his time at the club is come and gone. Company relied on him actually more than I expected Company to, and I can see why. Coman does some really good things. He stretches the pitch very well. He hustles back on defense. He's a great kind of guy to have on that left side pairing with Davies when Davies inverts really far and Coman can play wider. But he doesn't do the things that you really need and want a winger to do in my mind. He doesn't cross the ball very well. He doesn't shoot very well. So there's just a lot to be desired with his game at this point, but he does stretch the pitch well. Unfortunately, I think he was just mid this year. Um, Similarly, Serge Gnabry, and this kills me because I also think Serge Gnabry is a great leader. I think he's a great guy. I think he's, a guy that you really want to have around in the locker room, but he was just mid this year as well. And similar to Coman, I think Gnabry's time at the club might have come and gone. He is, yeah, similar to Coman again in that he was injured all the time. I feel like Coman and Gnabry are just unfortunately injured all the time. Gnabry is kind of funnier to me because he has such a high ceiling. Like when this guy is on, Serge Gnabry, I mean, look out. He looks like one of the best wingers in the world. When he's cooking, last couple months of the year, he always does it. He shows up in April and just cooks and cooks and cooks. When he plays a London team, look out. The man's cooking. So it's just funny. I mean, we saw it this year. Actually, Serge Gnabry started the year so well, so we saw it a lot in the beginning of the year this year, but we saw it at the very end of the year. Dark Classic car, he comes in against Dortmund and just cooks their whole team. I mean, dribbles through five guys and scores. Like that's Gnabry at his peak, but unfortunately, he's just too inconsistent, which is really the story of these left wingers at Bayern Munich. So. There's talks about Gnabry potentially being used as a backup to Harry Kane next year because so similar to Coman, similar to Goretzka, these guys are way overpaid for the amount that they play, and none of these guys are going to want to leave because they have such good contracts. Coman might be the only one who could potentially leave in the summer, so we're probably going to have Coman, Gnabry, Goretzka all back, and it could be interesting to see Gnabry as a backup to Kane. I will say you might as well find some sort of a role for him if he's not going to be a starting left winger. Leroy Sané, again, another lightning rod of a guy. I'm putting Sané at good. I thought he had a good season, while certainly inconsistent, just like Coman and Gnabry. I thought Sané was a little bit better than these two this year. Leroy Sané, he could actually be out of the club before you know it. There's a lot of contract negotiation talks with his new agent and Max Abril and all the Bayern brass. So we'll see what happens here with Leroy Sané. But it was looking like he was going to re-up, and now it's looking like he's going to go. Again, we'll wait and see. We'll keep you covered here at Always Bayern Chelsea with all of the transfer coverage. But yeah, Leroy Sané. I'm just putting him at good. I thought he was solid this year, and a lot of people might get mad at me for that. Again, he's more inconsistent than you want, but I think he was our best option at the left wing this year. Now maybe we go out in the transfer market and get somebody who can be more consistent, but yeah, I thought Sane was good. I'm gonna actually pull up Transfermarkt here. I hope this whoops, I typed last name first. Um, I hope this works with the screen sharing and whatnot. But let's take a look at Leroy Sané because, yeah, let's see here. If I go to stats for the current season, you can see here the man had 13 goals and 6 assists. So in 45 matches played, which really isn't bad. It's just not bad. 11 goals and 6 assists in the Bundesliga is pretty good. So yeah, I mean, there you go. Leroy Sané, I thought he was good. He does that frustrating thing though of miss some golden opportunities. So you got to live with that if you're Sané, if you're, I guess, a fan of a team with Leroy Sané. But his ceiling is so high. Yeah, I think he's worth keeping around because I think he was good. Okay, Thomas Muller, also good. Thomas Muller, what can you say about him that hasn't already been said? Legend of the game, legend of the club. He was good when he played. I know a lot of people think he's past his prime, and he certainly is past his prime, but he was still good when he needed to be, I guess, for lack of a better term. Um, yeah, really, really was. Showed up in some key moments, like always. You don't expect him to score these crazy goals, but he does it. He comes in off the bench. He's a great leader. He's basically a second coach, and he just was good. Obviously, Jamal Musiala was injured for um, a significant part of the season last year, and Thomas Muller, I mean, a significant part of the end of the season this year, and Thomas Muller had to step up. All right, so here's Thomas Muller's stats for this year. We got 6 goals and 6 assists. It's not bad. I mean, it's double figures, only 44 matches, not a whole lot of minutes as you can see here. But yeah, really not bad stats. And the way that Thomas Muller affects a match as well is so much more than you can even put on the stat sheet. So I would just recommend watching some of his matches, some of his key performances if you want to know how he affects a match. Now we will move on to Matthews Tell. I'm putting him down here in the flop category as well. And this crushes me to say because he was my boy last year. He was my absolute boy. I mean, if you remember the preseason predictions, I was out there saying that this guy could be hitting, I don't know, like 20 goals and assists or something. But yeah, it just didn't work out. Company didn't play him really at all. And he needed to go on loan. He went to Tottenham Hotspur eventually. And, it's looking like he's going to get sold now, which is really unfortunate because we saw last year. I mean, the guy has a high, high, high ceiling, didn't fit in company's system. He's kind of that like second striker who I think would work well in a two striker system. Company had him playing really wide on the left wing, and that's just not where Tell shines. Yeah, I mean, we got 5 goals and assists when I was thinking the guy could get 20. So, yeah, only 34 games played, and yeah, it's just quite unfortunate how the season went with Tell. We'll see what the guy's future holds. I think he is a stand-up guy, and I hope that he can make it big someday. So, yeah, there you go. Tell is in the flop category. Now let's move on to Jamal Musiala. Jamal Musiala, I'm going to put Musiala in the top category as well. Obviously, dealt with injuries at the end of the year. Hey, this seems like it's a common theme. I guess almost every player on Bayern was injured at some point or the other, but that's just how it goes, it seems, with Bayern Munich these days. Down the stretch, everybody's injured. But yeah, Jamal Musiala is a wonder kid. He's a magician. He is the guy that you build your team around, and Bayern clearly did that with the contract they offered him, kind of giving him everything he wants, letting him play the 10 whenever he wants. So yeah, Jamal Musiala just a absolute stud, an absolute star. Not in the MVP conversation in my mind this year, but again, just a really good year and a guy that you need on your team. So and really like Jamal Musiala, the ceiling is so high for this guy. I mean, he could seriously blossom into a Ballon d'Or candidate, and is obviously one of the best young players in the world, and is in that like echelon of becoming one of the best players in the world. So yeah, Jamal Musiala here. You see 40 games played, 18 goals and 8 assists. So really, really solid numbers from Musiala this year, and I'm just excited about seeing how he's gonna grow in the future. I really am. Next up, Michael Olise, the third guy who you could put in that MVP category in my mind. If Olise is your MVP, again, same with Kimmich. I'm not going to argue that at all. But I am going to put Michael Olise in the top category. Really, really great season from Michael Olise. Unexpected, maybe. I mean, you thought he'd be good. You could say you thought he'd be great, but he really was one of the better players in the world. Definitely one of the best players in the Bundesliga, but I think one of the best players in the world. Yeah, Michael Olise coming over from Crystal Palace and just an absolute breakout year from Michael Olise. I'm gonna try to pull up his stats as well here on Transfermarkt just to show you because yeah, I mean the guy can just, I mean, do pretty much everything you want. He can score, he can cross, he can pass, he can dribble. He's just, yeah, so dangerous on that right side, cutting in with his left foot. I mean, look out. You see these stats. I mean, these are just bonkers, especially for a guy coming over from another league. Like, he has to learn the culture, he has to learn the league, he has to learn how to like uproot his life over in England and come over to Germany and to do this is totally insane. 21 assists and 17 goals. I mean, this guy is a no doubt starter on one of the best teams in the world. Michael Olise, I mean, really just take a bow. You are truly one of the best players in the world. So, awesome season from Michael Olise. And finally, I think at this point you know who my MVP is. Yeah, it's Harry Kane. Um, Harry Kane is, in my mind, the best striker in the world. I think, I oftentimes call him the best player in the world, and the guy puts up astronomical numbers every single year. He's done it for a decade. But if you watch how he plays, the way that he orchestrates, the way that he plays defense when he has to, I mean, I don't think there's anybody who puts up the outer space, otherworldly numbers that Harry Kane that does the rest of what Harry Kane also does in terms of build-up play, in terms of orchestration, in terms of distribution, in terms of defense. I mean, the guy just does it all. He is such a team player, while also, again, putting up numbers that like don't even make sense when you think about it. So let's go over here to current season and pull up Kane's numbers. I mean, 38 goals and 13 assists in 46 matches. You got to remember, Kane was injured for a bit this year too. So I mean, this is just unreal. 38 goals and 13 assists in 46 matches. I mean, that's why Kane's my MVP. It's just the sheer production that he gives you, along with everything else that he does in terms of being a leader on this team. Kane's my MVP. Again, I could see you giving it to Olise. I could see you giving it to Kimmich. So this is just a final picture of this tier list. So yeah, take a look right here. You got Flop, you got Sven Ulreich, you got Daniel Peretz, you got Sasha Bouet, Mathys Tell, mid, Rafa Guerrero, Hiroki Ito, Kim Min Jae, João Palhinha, Kingsley Coman, Serge Gnabry, good, Jonas Erbig, Manuel Neuer, Konrad Leimer, Josip Stanisic, Eric Dyer, Alexander Pavlovich, Leon Goretzka, Leroy Sané, Thomas Muller, top, Alphonso Davies, Dayot Upamecano, Joshua Kimmich, Jamal Musiala, Michael Olise, MVP, Harry Kane. There it is. Bing, bang, boom. Thank you for watching this video. I think that's all I got in this one, but like I said, we're gonna do some more full season wrap up type stuff. So with some special guests, so subscribe to the YouTube channel, Always Bayern Chelsea. Thanks for sticking around with me here. Thanks for being here. And yeah, I'm gonna head out now and we'll see you in the next one.